All right, I think we are set. David, you on there? Everything looking good?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have you take the lead and let me know when to advance the slides, and we'll get going.
Will do. All right. Thank you. Just a bit of an introduction for those of you who don't know me. My name is Dr. David Schary. I am a professor of exercise science at Winthrop University. I also am the director of mental health and performance for our athletics department, which within that umbrella, I also work pretty extensively with our esports team. So I'm very familiar with the collegiate space of esports. So you just want to go ahead and advance the slide there, Seth. So today we're going to be going over, in this first part of the presentation, some demographic questions from a research project that Seth and I did. And then in the second part, the second half hour, we'll get into a little bit more of the analysis. But the two things that we're looking at in this part are what are the demographic characteristics of the varsity esports programs. So this is the collegiate programs within the United States. They are vast and they're very diverse. So we really wanted to get a snapshot of what that looked like. And then also comparing that to the general student body. So those that are not part of the esports program, and to see if there were comparable or significant differences between those two populations. Go ahead, next slide. So when we look at previous research, there hasn't been a ton of research done in this area, or at least this expansive. And as I go through this, Seth, if I miss anything, please jump in.
Sure.
Some of the previous research that we have seen that has been done at kind of a broader scale, one is put out by the British Esports Federation. It shows a lot of benefits that are out there for career skill development, promoting characteristics that we would want in our students. However, there is no reference list that has been attached to this, so we don't know where the data is coming from. We don't know the research that they're drawing from. So while it is positive and while it is helping to show that this area can develop people and characteristics that we want beyond just being good gamers, we're not really sure too much of the details behind it.
Yeah, and that graphic on the left of the screen was released last week, actually.
There we go, hot off the presses. Similarly, there has been some actual research done, published in peer-reviewed journals that show how gaming might influence, and we have might there highlighted, which is a very good scientific analysis of it, not being 100% certain, that it can, participating in esports or sports, or I'm sorry, gaming in general, can help improve a variety of things, as you saw there. Okay, so then Voice really put some resources behind trying to actually get a snapshot of what collegiate esports looks like in the United States. Seth was the lead on this. I helped with a lot of the data analysis and presentation of that. And then Voice was involved as well with kind of helping make the connections and the write-up in the end.
And just so people are aware, VOICE is an acronym for Voice of Intercollegiate Esports, which is a nonprofit to help support, the collegiate esports ecosystem.
Yeah, I believe it's 12 member schools. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they're up to 14 now.
14 now? Okay.
Yep.
So we looked at a host of variables to really get a very thorough snapshot. As you can see there, everything from diversity and inclusion, so race, ethnicity, GPA, academic majors, enrollment and recruitment. Where are these students coming from? Retention and graduation. If you're at least in North America, that is buzzwords within higher education. So we really want to see, is esports helping in that way? Perceived benefits of esports. This is from the actual participants, and then also the perceived skill development. Good, next slide. We collected data from a variety of sources. Seth put together what I think is a very good infographic here. So we had 12 participating universities from the Voice Coalition. We got data from their general student population. This is all publicly available information. And then we also got data from almost 600 varsity esports players from those 12 programs. We got basic demographic information filled out from the esports directors. And then we had surveys to the directors, the non-director staff of these esports programs, as well as just over 250 esports players, asking a host of more detailed information to really get at what are they seeing are the benefits to participating in esports during their college careers. It was both quantitative, so we were getting numbers that we could run statistical tests on, and then we also gathered a number of qualitative data questions, so open-ended answers in which the participants could actually put in their own words the answers, and then we went back through and tried to pull out themes from that. And this is the same process for both this presentation and also the second half of the presentation, same process there. We are not going to have nearly enough time to get through all of the data. There is a ton of results. I forget how many total tables were there, Seth, in the end?
Probably close to 40 tables, but 252 pages, I think, was the report, maybe something crazy like that, or maybe, yeah. It was a lot.
So there is a lot of data out there. For any of the data junkies out there, please go and check this out. The summary gives you the high levels. We'll give more detail than what we're going to be going over today, but it is just kind of a snapshot. If you want the nitty-gritty details and all 40+ tables, 250 pages, go to the full results section. It's there. And then for any of the academics out there, Seth and I are working to pull this together into a journal article, but it will likely not be as detailed as that full study there. So that is where I really point people to go to. The address is down there. It's on Voice's website. It's free to download. Please check it out after this presentation. All right, so let's actually jump in to these tables. We redacted the names of the universities, so they are there, but they all are from North America. You can see that they are from a variety of different types of universities. If you look at number of students, the smallest is just under 10,000, and the largest is pushing 40,000. So a large span there. You can see full-time students both at the undergrad and graduate levels. Again, this is a good snapshot. It's not just looking at one type of university. Really, all types, at least from the US, are represented here. Similarly, the types of esports programs differ wildly in the United States. There are some that are staff-driven, so these are full-time staff members that are in charge of the esports program. You can see the majority of them are there. Some are student-driven, and some are a combination of both student and staff-driven. We have different categories. We try to be as specific as possible in the report of what these categories mean, especially for our global audience. The varsity basically means that these are intercollegiate, sometimes scholarship esports athletes. These are usually funded and sometimes funded very well from the university. These are not club, these are not student driven. We have competitive club that we could see as maybe like one rung down on the ladder. These can still be very organized. They can still be obviously competitive, doing tournaments and whatnot, but they are maybe not as institutionalized as the varsity programs. And then we have casual clubs. These may not be as competitive, usually no scholarship money or anything like that. These are just students that are interested in gaming. It might be just gaming against each other and not going into actual intercollegiate or international tournaments. And you can see some programs have a combination of all of these different levels. I know at Winthrop, that's kind of our model here, where we have multiple levels together under one umbrella. And you can see some notes here and when the programs were actually established, some as early as 2011, all the way to, I think the most recent one was 2019, was when it was started. All right, so then when we start looking at what the facilities look like and the resources, again, spans the gamut here. Some are very intensive on PCs and not so much on gaming consoles, and the flip there. But again, you can see that a lot are concentrated within these esport facilities. So some have multiple facilities on campus, and then you can see some get very large, with our largest university having a 30,000 square foot facility. Well, I guess that's spread out across 3 different facilities. I'm not sure what that translates into the metric system for our international friends, but it's large. You can see that the actual number of competitive players is also large. And I would actually say that this is growing anecdotally. I would say that these programs are getting larger almost as we speak. And then we have a sizable non-competitive esports population that is underneath almost every one of those competitive programs. This usually looks like a varsity, a junior varsity, or a club mix, in which the varsity may sometimes pull up into the varsity from that club JV, I guess, pool of players. When it comes to scholarships, a lot of the programs are giving partial scholarships. I don't think we had any that gave full scholarships. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Seth.
Well, we had one university that they first applied for financial aid, and then any type of need beyond the financial aid was afforded to those players. That was University 2. So those would be considered, so that director considered those full scholarships.
So a de facto full scholarship there. And then the budgets, Seth and I think that this is the first time that we can actually put numbers to a budget. Again, it is a huge expense, everywhere from 15,000 on the low end upwards to close to $1 million. There should maybe be a little asterisk here in that this might not be annual funding, that some of these might have maybe one-time setup budgets. So if you were to get a large block to set up your facility to buy all of these PC gaming stations, but then subsequent years that funding would be much lower. So kind of keep that in mind, that might not be $970,000, may not be what they're getting every single year. All right, if we go into the games, again, lots of different games across all the universities. We were trying to get this all into one table. There were so many. As you can see, most universities have at least a half dozen different games that are going on that they will specialize in. Some of them, you can see over here the percentage of varsity players per game, the largest ones being League of Legends, Overwatch, and what's this last one down here? I'm sorry, I can't. And Smash Brothers. Those were kind of the 3 largest when it comes to total number of players. But again, lots of different games, whether team games, individual games, are represented.
And Valorant as well at the bottom.
Valorant, yes, thank you. Yes, can't forget that. This also mirrors somewhat a report that just came out. I think this came out last month, correct? In October?
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, the Esports Foundry report.
Yeah, so this was a larger number of universities than what we sampled, so keep that in mind. They had Rocket League as the most popular game. That was a sizable amount, but it wasn't nearly to the top of the list. But the rest of them pretty much fall in line with what ours have.
Yeah, I think the big difference, though, is the Foundry report, they survey what they consider varsity programs, and our sample also included some club programs.
Yeah. All right, when it comes to leagues in the United States, there are many leagues. Some of them are collegiate specific leagues. Some of them will mirror what you would see in traditional sports, such as like the ECAC conference. And then some are semi-professional championship type leagues that the college teams will play in. Really, there is no rhyme or reason to this. It's very much like the Wild Wild West when it comes to the different leagues, and every university was involved in more than one league, with the exception of University 8. They were the only one that was involved in just one league. Seth had put this together for a previous project, but this is again just to try and show you how diverse these different leagues are, whether it is kind of these national type leagues, whether it's specific collegiate leagues, whether they are just one-time tournaments. They are all over the place. And again, most colleges are participating in multiple of these at both the professional level, the collegiate level, and the amateur level. So now getting into some of the numbers specifically, this is data that came about the esports athletes from the directors. So this is as thorough of a roster as we could find. Again, about anywhere from 600 to 540 for each one of these, depending on the data that was available. Some of these are probably no surprise. It's very male dominated. Over 90% are male, with females being just under 7%, and then non-binary and transgender both at 1% and 0.6% respectively. When we look at the academic status, it is pretty well represented across each year. There wasn't anything that really stood out there. With GPA, our esports students are doing pretty well with, almost 70% at a 3.0 or above. And again, this is not self-reported GPA, so this is probably a little bit more accurate. When we look at this gender breakdown across universities, this is both what the gender in the student body is versus the esports programs. This is where Seth and I think that this is actually really interesting, where we have really big differences in some universities. Here are two that are highlighted. We're just going quick because we are running short on time, so I apologize for kind of going through this pretty quickly, but you can see some of them, like University 2 at 100% male, where their male student body is less than 30%. Race, ethnicity, huge chart. You can look through that in more detail. This whole chart is in that full report. Nothing really stands out too much. When we look at disabilities, we have not a whole lot self-reported, but we did have one University 9 where we had 20% of our esports self-reported a disability, whereas their percentage of their student population was just under 5%. So again, very, very different there. So showing that our esports programs might look different than our college general population. And ADHD and autism being the most prevalent. So not physical disabilities, more psychological disabilities.
We got another minute, so I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to mention on this other slide. I went past real fast about ethnicity. Yeah.
Again, this is similar to the gender, but maybe not as extreme. Where you look, for instance, University 1 has a much higher Asian student population at 70% compared to the general student body at 25%. This is, again, just to highlight that the esports population is looking different than the snapshot of the universities that they are in. So not necessarily a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing, but I think it should be good for us as researchers, as practitioners, to understand that.
And I'm just going to jump in there. In the next session, we'll be talking about specifically some of the benefits of some of the demographics of esports players versus the general student body at those institutions.
This is a sampling of some of the references that we pulled to. Obviously, we are really emphasizing and highlighting the two that this report pulls from. If this is of interest to you, please check out that full report. And then any questions, any comments, any things that you have, Seth is our lead on this. He is very knowledgeable, and we point most of the questions to him.
All right. I'm going to check with my producer sitting behind me here. Any questions on the Twitch chat? All right. Number one, I'll read it, and maybe you can, we'll see which one of us answers it. I'd be interested to see other forms of benefit compensation players might get in lieu of or in addition to tuition. Do they get board priority? I don't know what board priority means.
It's probably room and board
Yeah,
is probably what they
an
mean.
equipment stipend, priority registration for courses to facilitate practice times. Yeah, so one of these specific things that I can remember, one of the universities, for their recruits, they were given in-state tuition rather than out-of-state tuition. And that particular university has a lot of out-of-state students as a large university. And so it's a significant benefit financially, is to be able to pay in-state tuition versus out-of-state.
And
Equipment.
I'll
Go ahead.
also add to that, and I'm not sure if this actually came up, but I just know this from kind of working in this space as well, that many of these schools will have sponsors, let's just say like Red Bull, that kind of thing, that also provide maybe not monetary benefits, but could provide help with travel to these tournaments and those kinds of things too.
Equipment stipend, I've never heard too much of equipment stipend. Certainly, when you look at some of the information we'll provide in the next presentation, which is, this is not part of it, a lot of the some of the players mentioned the benefits of travel, and particularly out-of-state travel that they're afforded to be when they're on the varsity program. They listed that as a benefit that is not in our presentation next. Priority registration for courses. That's an interesting one. I think that at Winthrop, your program that's in the Department of Athletics, certainly at Slippery Rock, where I teach, the varsity athletes get priority registration. Our program for esports, though, is a club sport, and so they are not afforded priority registration because it's not in the Department of Athletics. What about Winthrop? Do you know?
I'm almost 100% certain that they do get it, even though it's classified as a club sport. It's still under the Department of Athletics, and I believe they do get priority registration.
Honestly, I think it would be hard for the university to give them priority registration unless they were considered, unless you fell under the Department of Athletics at that institution, which I don't have a specific number on, but my guess would be that less than 25% of programs, at least in the United States, are under the Department of Athletics. The majority of them are like student life, rec sports, or even an academic department. Next question, why is Overwatch so popular in collegiate despite the pro scene being described as dead? Yeah, all right. Well, certainly, I think this is one of the issues that you have is when you build up infrastructure resources towards particular games and then they go out of fad. This is some of the major sustainability risks within esports just in general. So why is it so popular? I would imagine because people still like to play it, but certainly the Overwatch League and the falters there should probably have a ripple effect into less programs having that as a game. Things like Marvel's Rivals, where this is all of a sudden now people are looking to add more teams with that game, particular because of the release. So I think it ebbs and flows. It's a different thing when it comes to esports when it compared to traditional sports, because the popularity of the sports don't fluctuate as frequently as traditional sports. Any other questions up? All right. What is your prediction about those leagues and conferences? Will that become more or less prevalent in the future? You want to handle that, or you want me to?
I can add, and then please add in. And just one comment on the Overwatch question as well. And this is just anecdotal from conversations that I've had. Is that a lot of the professional or semi-professional players that maybe aren't as active anymore are now being able to go into the college ranks, get their college scholarships and things to continue to play this game. So it's kind of like a trickle-down effect as well. I personally think that we will see consolidation within the leagues as esports becomes more popular, as I think more programs will move under athletic departments. I think that that's going to be the trend personally, because universities are going to see this as a way to increase their enrollment, to be more competitive. I think as that happens, I think the conferences will become more organized, will be, I think, more like what we have in the traditional sports scene. Maybe not quite as compressed as that, but I don't think there's going to be as many in the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you had a really good point about the Overwatch former players moving back in to collegiate. Yeah, I think that eventually the number of leagues will decrease as more governance entities will start to sort of gain respect and stature, and then they'll start to collapse under, I'm not going to say a single governing body, because I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, even within the NCAA level, we've got the National Junior College Association, we have NAIA, and then there's 3 levels of division for NCAA. So I don't see it coming under a single one, but I think that as the structure of these institutions gets to be more commonly accepted by the directors, I think that they'll start to collapse just for the ease of management. I mean, if you're a director and you're managing and you're in 15 different leagues, is ridiculous. I think that was the top. The top in our sample is 15. All right, a comment, not a question. Also curious to see how these numbers look when you break out university by 2-year, 4-year, HBCU. We found some notable discrepancies for IHEs in North Carolina when we surveyed based on that. All of our sample were 4-year, and they were actually all the universities. So we did not have any 2-year in our sample, and we did not have any HBCUs in our sample.
But that would be interesting to see. Yeah,
I agree. Any other comments in the Twitch chat? Emma?